Gary the Russian. Gary, how are you, sir?
Great.
Oh, hold on a second. Let's turn on his microphone.
Go ahead.
A therapy session with the Fresh and Fit guys. I wasn't expecting this morning. I'll be honest.
Let's go.
Yeah, I don't know that this is necessarily considered qualified, like official therapy, but this would be good for you. So, Gary, you are single.
Yeah.
And you follow them, and sometimes you watch guys like Andrew Tate and stuff, and I'm like,
Love it.
okay,
Yeah.
I know. I just disagree with some of the things. But I understand that again, there's this intersect of people who are identifying the same problems, and then I disagree with some of the solutions out there. Now, you have said the same thing. It's really hard to find a woman out there.
Absolutely. It is with the women that I like, as well as having conservative values.
Well, you want to find a woman who is kind of in line with what you guys discuss, right? But then every time, and I love you, Gary.
You're like a big brother to me. I know.
But then he'll be like, "Hey, look, I went on a date with," and he'll show me a picture. I'm like, that's absolutely trouble.
You
That's
got a type.
problem.
You just said to me, why?
Yeah. Well, also he can only come on. He's some of those guys only giant boobs will do. He's one of those guys.
Yeah, I don't care about ass or anything.
No?
As long as she's got boobs.
Okay. I'm opposite, bro. I need some ass, dog.
Yeah.
Same.
Surprise.
What does that mean, Steven?
The guy that is black as hell wants big ass.
Yeah, it's not like there have been many singles that have been written about it, but no, it's true. Like he has that type.
I like flat butts.
Yeah, exactly.
Woo! Heaven.
Whenever you end up going for like the Instagram model types who are valuing all the superficial stuff, and then you expect them to have the values that you want in a woman who you want to be, because you do want a wife.
I do. And here's the thing. I've dated in New York, L.A., over here in Texas. So I've dated. I mean, L.A. was the hardest,
Right.
for sure.
Boo.
He's already making mistakes.
Yeah.
Well, that's where I was at. So the thing is,
Try Kansas.
I lay it out to him on the first day. I tell him exactly what it is. Like, this is what I like.
Your boobs are huge.
I want a feminine woman. I want a feminine woman with traditional values,
Yeah.
and I feel like as though I have a lot to offer. So I want to make sure that we're on the same page with those things. And if they're not, that's it.
Boom.
The problem is, aesthetically, those type of women that I'm into don't necessarily have the conservative values.
We've got a
split the
collage of
difference.
this.
Yes, okay.
So that's kind of the
Gary.
Gary's.
So-
Are these? Would you say these women are your type?
Yes, so I had the team put together
Oh, you
four
had
of
them
my
put it
dream
together.
girls. Yeah.
Who are these people?
But
I don't know. I just found them
Yo,
on Instagram.
I know her, bro.
Do you?
I know the one in the middle.
Well,
see, bring
maybe,
it up.
maybe you'll have me on your show one day. We can. You can introduce me.
Oh, in the middle?
See that woman right there. That third image.
All the girls.
Bro, that third image. That woman is actually very elegant. Like, you
that
can
one's
look
fine.
modest and
The blonde?
Huh?
Blonde?
No, I think that's an elegant dress. Yeah.
Yes.
But I don't. So okay.
All right, take it off screen.
Yeah, but the issue is
We got the picture.
the issue is right. It's like it's usually the women with the fake. You said you like fake lips.
I do. I
Why?
have fake boobs. I just feel like here's the thing. It shows me that a woman is trying.
What?
That's what it is.
Trying to lie.
I see his.
but-
I see his perspective.
I see his perspective.
You see my perspective?
but it's warped.
I don't.
Yes.
It shows me that a girl's putting in effort. Like I dress
lie.
well. There she is.
There you go. Hey, he's trying.
That was my date from last weekend.
Yes.
One of the things I've always said is like, this controversial take. I tell guys all the time, don't go for girls that have big Instagram followings or girls that are like on
Right.
social media like that because, or are famous, or whatever, because the things that they have to do to get the clout and be famous, etc., is going to typically put the relationship in a bad situation. And yeah, I mean, clout chasing chicks almost always are L's, what I've realized. And Instagram models are, terrible girlfriends.
And by the way, it can also be the same for an unattractive person. We're not just talking about physical attraction, but on Instagram, if someone is seeking that validation,
Yeah.
like you're never going to be able to give that person as much validation as even 200 people, even if they have 50 followers, 40 people, right? That's a dopamine hit.
Yeah, because women are, for like, sex for us is like attention for women. So like if a girl's on Instagram and she's getting all these likes and comments and DMs, etc., it's going to be very difficult for you to compete with that.
Yeah,
and
right.
the other thing too is that, another controversial take, women tend to think that the grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah.
So they'll have you, but their hypergamy kicks in and they're like, okay, can I do better? If they're constantly getting athletes and celebrities hitting them up, etc., even though it's just for sex, in their mind they think, I qualify for this guy. I can't tell you how many girls that are mediocre or average, they go ahead, they might sleep with a rapper, they might sleep with a athlete, whatever, they them, but they think, oh, now that's the level of guy that I can attract and retain. But no, you just got and that's it. But girls think, oh, I'm on this level now. So whenever a girl has a big social media following and she's getting hit up by these types of guys, they conflate that sexual attraction with relationship attraction.
I have a story for that. So 2 weeks ago, I went on a date.
You do.
And this woman, she's beautiful, and she asked me, what's the biggest red flag? And I said, promiscuous women, especially women that post their bodies on social media.
Yep.
Because what that shows to me
Where'd you
is
find her?
I actually
Social
sent you
media.
her.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so the biggest red flag is how I found you.
right. So I found her on Hinge. Anyway, so I told her, I was like, what? She's like, why is that such a big red flag? I said, well, because when you go out to the bar, it would be a lot easier. Like you walk in, every guy's staring at you. So what that tells me is that validation for you is not enough. So you have to post, provocative photos online to get even more validation. That's a massive red flag for me. So anyway, she looked me dead in the eye and said, oh, I would never do that. Go on her Instagram later that night. It's just nothing flooded but with just butt photos.
I like your honesty, right? Obviously, you want a certain type of woman, but you're not getting the qualities that you want from inside her, other than maybe to smash. So let me ask you this: what if you built her from the ground up?
We're back to robot dolls.
Well, no, an actual person, as in like you saw
that?
her as an individual, right? She's already done up, but you kind of install into her your own beliefs and values.
Right. And here's my only thing to that. I feel as though, like, I don't want to, I'm a busy guy, right? I don't want to take, like, I hit the gym, I do everything. I have a great job here.
On Hinge.
I do a lot. And so for me to take on a project, and I don't want to dictate how somebody lives their life, right? I don't want to tell them what to do. Once we get, now boundaries are a different thing, right? Like you cross that line, I could love you with all my heart. I could think about you every single day.
Yeah.
But if there's a line that you cross, I will never text you back again.
Right.
And so for me, I just don't want to take on another project, right?
You don't want to be unequally yoked.
But don't forget, this is your life. This is your program.
Right.
So she has to follow your program regardless. So whether you want to build it or not, she has to know what you want and what you're about.
I think also like it's really imperative for guys to like train women because a lot of girls come with really bad habits, modern day females, right? Like they think, oh, I'm going to be I can go to the club, I can post myself on Instagram, I can have these feminist ideals while simultaneously wanting a traditionally masculine guy.
Right.
Like you got to deprogram a lot of the out of girls nowadays, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It helps if they have like a strong dad that instilled these morals in them, but let's be honest here, a lot of girls are fatherless and have no dad. So you're going to have to go ahead and train them and make them the best girlfriend for you a lot of the times. And the other thing too, I want to say, this is another controversial take. The baddest chicks typically are not good girlfriends.
Yeah.
I tell guys, typically your girlfriend, if you want a good, dutiful chick that's not going to be a whore and etc., you're typically going to have to deal with a girl that's like in the 6 to 7 range. Because the 8s, 9s, and 10s, the models that have like been on yachts and all this other stuff, it's very difficult to get those girls on your program.
If you notice, right, all the guys with money, they don't marry the hottest girl. They marry the most palatable, peaceful, that helps them with a business girl. Right. Not the sexy 10 out of 10 that's on Instagram. Right. They don't marry them.
Also, if you're
men marry for love. That's the irony. Men actually do marry for love, typically speaking, and not all women do. That's
the hottest girls come with so many bad habits that like it's very difficult. Like, I mean, if you want to take on that project and detrain the out of her, that's fine. But a lot of those girls, especially in the social media age, it used to be that girl would be in Kansas, she doesn't have the internet, she hasn't talked to an athlete, whatever, it's cool, you can mold her into what you want. But with the Instagram and the way things are now, these hot girls, like a lot of them have sugar daddies. They have multiple boyfriends. They're getting flown out. They've been to Dubai. They've been to LA. They've been to Miami, the major cities, etc. They have all these experiences, etc. So you come in and she's going to still expect that level of guy. That's why when a girl's like dated a really rich guy before, it's very difficult for them to go back and regress social status wise. Yeah. So it's, you want to be able to leave that imprint. And a lot of times when girls have these experiences, it's like, do I want to deprogram this out of her? Nah, this is a pain in the ass. I'd rather just go for a girl that's not going to give me a headache, that I don't have to deal with these issues.
Yeah.
And hot girls too, like they're annoying a lot of times. They're super vain. They don't bring much value back. They're annoying as like, because I've dated them and I'm like, holy you're a like you have I can't talk to you. You're annoying as because they've never had to develop themselves. Yeah. Like, I mean, think about this. I want guys, because I've always like kind of flipped the roles, right? Like, let's go into a dream world, right? You're an 18-year-old guy. Out of nowhere, like you start getting DMs from hot chicks in LA and New York. Then you're getting flown out to Dubai. Then you're going to the club and you're getting free bottles.
Paying your rent too.
Then you say, you know what? Let me put my Cash App and my Venmo and my Instagram. Boom. People start sending you money just off of the way that you look and you haven't accomplished shit in life. Would you actually have an incentive to self-improve? Would you go to the gym? Would you go and chase a career? Would you make money? Would you become successful?
No.
The answer is probably no. That is many modern day women.
Yeah, that is many modern day women, and unfortunately, this is the ecosystem. And let me cut it off at the pass. Before, I know that you can hear someone like going, "Oh, trained women, you don't look." What he's saying is, if you want to be on board with his life. Now, here's the thing: when women say, "I can't believe that you say that," how many times have we heard happy wife, happy life? Or, well, not if my man knows what's good for him. He's going to be sleeping on the couch, right? So let's be honest. Women do the training and the dictating all the time. There was once a period in time where both of you expected that you were going to have to adapt. But it is seen as misogynistic or completely unacceptable for you to say what you say while there's a Pinterest thing like, when my man's prettiest? When he shuts his mouth. It's like, okay, look.
Fine.
And remember when people said, can you believe that Donald Trump rated women on a scale from 1 to 10? Are you aware of how Facebook started? Show of hands. How many men here have ever rated a woman on a scale? Every single guy. Now, it's not the only thing that men value, but if you go on a date, someone will say, hey, was she pretty? Sure. Hey, well, and then you'll say, and the conversation was, but I think we don't have this in common.
Right.
But it does come up, and you're just going, I'd say like a 6, or I'd say she's like an 8. She was really pretty. The idea that men forego that right to find a woman attractive or to value that, well, you're trying to
Here's the other thing, too.
unwire us from biology.
It's because, and this is it's something that's like kind of been new. A lot of girls say stupid shit like, I don't compete with other bitches. I'm that bitch. They'll say some dumb shit like that. And it's like, no, you actually are competing. And not only are you competing, you're competing at the highest level because you want a 1% guy that every other chick wants.
Yeah.
Because if you look at what women really want, you said earlier, like women find 80% of men is unattractive. I would say it's even probably higher because with social media and everything else, I think that Tinder study was from around maybe 2008 or whatever. But women disqualify most men vastly. Most men would like most women, but most women definitely don't like most men.
Yeah.
So women are really chasing a very small percentage of men, and they think I don't have to compete, and it's just ridiculous. Which is why they don't self-improve. They don't get to know. They don't care what men want and or adhere to that. And it's like I deserve this guy, but they're not willing to do the work to get that guy. And what ends up happening is guys understand this, especially the guys at the top, and they'll just be like, okay, I'm going to sell the dream. I'm going to this girl, and I'm never going to take her seriously. And what feminism has done, and I've said this too, it's actually inadvertently given all the leverage to the highest status men because now they can run around and as many girls they want, sell the dream, etc. And then these women stay perpetually single. They're on a carousel. They're Chads and Tyrone's left and right throughout their 20s. Then 29, 30 year rolls around. I want a guy to take me seriously. And then they go ahead and sell the purity to that guy. He goes ahead, marries her. And then bam, next thing you know, he's getting divorced because he can't measure up to all those guys that she dated before who gave her these certain experiences. That's why women date for experience now, like that other hoe that we talked about earlier in the show.
I don't remember her name, but I believe it was Ho.
I think it was Bembo number one.
I heard you guys laughing your ass off there. Is there something that you're going to bring in?
I just,
'Cause we have
when you talk about, pictures on Instagram and things like that, provocative stuff. Gary, is this you?
Very promiscuous.
Oh, that is me.
that
look
is
at
you,
that.
But see, there's a difference. There's a difference.
No, it's still a nipple.
Oh, no. Yeah. But there's absolutely a difference, right?
I have nipples, Greg.
Women, that's their currency is that attention. For guys to get that kind of attention that even a quarter of the women get is insane. If you ever want to ruin your day, just go through your girl's DMs.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I look at it.
Well,
and one thing
that's also wiretapping, but yes.
Yeah, that's also.
One thing I wanted you guys to touch on a little bit is just the fact that men don't approach nowadays either, right?
Yeah.
Like that's really, I think nowadays, being single in the dating pool and having dated in multiple cities, I feel like nowadays it's never been easier to stand out as a man, right? Like you line up 10 men, you could see which one's winning and which one isn't, right?
Yeah.
And so part of that is having the confidence to approach women and being like, hey, I think you're beautiful, whatever. If she rejects you, you don't take it personally and you just move on to the next one.
Gary, it's just a numbers game. I walked.
It really
I
is.
was like, hey, can I have your phone number? I was like, no. Hey, can I have your phone number? No. Hey, can I have your phone number? Nailed it.
Yeah.
So,
Wait, that's a guy.
But Gary, those are the kinds of women that you're going to be attracted. This is the issue, right? You can't say that you don't want my opinions. You can't say you don't want someone who's superficial, and then present the superficial, right? It needs to go deeper. You do need to look for shared values, and I know that some women can deceive people, but my point is, you're throwing out the same signals that you don't want a woman to send out. And I get it. It's different because you're a man. That being said, I'm just saying you're probably going to find yourself on dates with the kinds of women who you wouldn't want to marry.
Wait,
Understood.
Stephen, are you saying you should lower the standards?
No, I'm saying you should stop uploading shirtless pictures, especially not until you have, a 315 bench.
Very but the thing is, how do you differentiate? Like Instagram is the best dating site in my opinion, right? And
Yeah, I agree.
As a man,
No.
what do you mean?
Why?
Myron, back me up on that.
Yeah, it is the number one.
It really is.
It is
Make
the
a
number
case.
one
No.
dating site as far as volume. It's not the best place to find
Make the
someone.
case for that being the best.
Yeah, make the case for it to be the best place to find a wife.
No, I'm asking seriously as somebody who doesn't. Thank God I just recently got out of this game.
Well, you're a bit older, right? No offense. But the current marketplace, right? People are on Instagram.
I know that. I'm not talking about where people are. I'm
No.
saying why that would be a good place to
remember,
find a good woman.
Most girls that are considered, I want to say, hot are not on dating apps. They're just not.
Right.
And
That's fair
once,
too.
And once again, where are they going to be? Instagram. So for attention purposes, they're there. and they're readily available. So if you're a guy that's on a certain level, you send a DM, she's probably going to respond, and she's probably going to be yours. The fact is,
the be yours part. So we're defining things differently.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a wife. I'm not looking for a girl to go and have sex with. I'm not looking for a girl to take on an experience to the Everglades and have to bring her back. I'm looking for a wife.
Okay.
Why would I look in the place that we have just said is built on vanity and
Well-
girls that get the dopamine click that we don't want to be dealing with in the first place?
well, remember, not every girl is going to be public. They might have a private page, and they have
Right.
certain things that are not as revealing. And as a result, you can find whatever you want on there. Now, majority is going to be obviously models in bikini pictures, but there's some that are actually more, I want to say, modest. I'm just saying for access and global scale, Instagram is unmatched.
Another thing I want to say too is like I say, date the girl, obviously go through the relationship with her, see what it is. And my thing is, I always tell guys, date a girl for at least 6 months to 1 year. And then if she's worthy, potentially you might elevate her to girlfriend. And I tell guys, never ask for a relationship. She has to ask you for the relationship. And I know that might be like, whoa, what's going on here? But the reason why I do that is that, why I say that is because then you could dictate the terms of that relationship, right? Yeah. Hey, I don't commit to girls that are on Instagram. I don't commit to girls that put sex pictures of themselves, etc. And I know that is that might sound like, whoa, that's a little bit weird. But with the deregulated sexual marketplace, with the way modern dating is now, guys have to employ strategies like this to deal with the new normal.
No, that's completely. And Patrice O'Neill, Nick DiPaolo's good friend.
Rest in
and
peace.
I wonder what would have happened if he was still around. He was the one who coined the phrase, I believe, women control access to sex, men control access to relationships.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he actually said, look, he would say that it's the king and queen system. And he would say, here's the thing. And I'm not going to do it but in my head, I always end up doing an impression. But he would say, men, if you're a king can make a queen. A queen cannot make a king.
Yeah.
He would say, a king, once she marries, when you decide to marry, now she's a queen. She's above all other women, right? But she is not above the king. I am still the king. Now, if a queen is married to a man and he dies, she can't make a man a king. It's not possible in that system.
Yeah.
She can find a good guy, but she can't make him a king. Only a king can make a queen, and that's in the relationship, is what he was
I
talking
don't say this too with referring to chess. If you look at the queen piece can go in any direction as many spaces as she wants, right? Right, and that's kind of indicative of how women are nowadays in the dating game. Like they're able to do whatever. They could be on a yacht today. They could be on a jet tomorrow. Ric Flair, jet flying, limousine ride, and they could literally be doing all that stuff, right? But the king can only go one piece at a time. But if the king dies or he's surrounded, the game is over. But if that queen dies, the game continues. And then on top of that, you can get a pawn to the other side and turn it into a queen. So what do I mean by this? Women are replaceable. And I think guys need to understand that since women are replaceable, you need to almost treat them that way. Now, controversial take here. You
Now,
guys
there's
might
a
disagree
difference
with
between
this?
replaceable and expendable, to be clear, because
Yes.
people are trying to quit. What you mean is, if it's not the right woman, especially before, you can find the right woman. And that is
Absolutely.
important. Men have the right to replace a woman, especially we're talking about pre-marriage and relationships,
Yeah.
right? You have the right to say, this is not the right one. I need to replace this one with another one.
Now, controversial take here. Unfortunately, women need to feel that they're replaceable to give you the best treatment. They can't necessarily know that their spot is locked. So what I tell guys, don't be monogamous. Have multiple girlfriends, have multiple wives, whatever it is, because women thrive on competition with other women, and women need that dread to really feel like, oh my God, because the way women move is like hypergamy. Okay, do I have the best guy? Am I getting the best guy that I can get? There's no better way for a woman to get that hypergamous filter satisfied but then by her seeing her man with other women and other women wanting him. And then my thing is, like, you have main girls and you got side chicks or whatever. Now, I know this might be a very taxing
killing me,
dating
bro.
We're
strategy here.
definitely not on board with that. But
Yeah, that's fine. But my thing is, I think to be the most sexually attractive and to really keep your girl in line, she needs to know that her place isn't necessarily locked.
There's ways to go about it as well. That's more, I want to say, PC. Obviously speaking, you don't have to go cheat. We're just saying make sure that on some
Yeah.
level you're still attractive to other women.
Yes, it absolutely is true. For example, even let's say I've watched it happen with, for example, my father, who has been as monogamous as the day is long. But I've watched my dad is a very good. Well, you met my dad. He's
Yeah.
in his 60s.
Yeah.
Good-looking guy. He's always been a good-looking guy. He's always stayed in shape. And I've watched him go out to dinner and
Are you
functions.
saying that because he looks like you?
Does he look like me? Oh,
You guys
boy.
look very alike.
With white hair.
I was white hair. He's like a catcher's mitt. But no, I've watched him be out there, and of course, women have always found him attractive. And of course, my mom was right by his side because she knew that, and that my mom knew that she had a catch. Same thing. I didn't realize this until I was older. My grandfather, on my mom's side, this was a guy who every time he went out, he brill creamed his hair. He had a Clark Gable mustache, his glasses. He was a super. He was basically a glorified janitor, and what it was he managed these properties that a very wealthy man owned, but he was the same size as this wealthy man. They were both about 5'9", maybe about $170, lean. He was built like a chimpanzee. He was just like, he was carrying cans of tar up 3 stories until the day he died. But he would get this wealthy man's secondhand clothes. So he'd be wearing multi-$1,000 three-piece suits, rolling up his sleeve, elbow deep in shit, cleaning out toilets. But then he would wash his hands. He would put the foot covers over his shoes, little rubber covers, because he always wanted to be dressed to the nines and keep up appearances. When I would go out with my grandpa, we call him grandpa, but I was French. I look back, every single old lady wanted to bag my grandfather, and my grandmother was very proud of that. Was very proud of it. You could see he was a high value man, and you could see women, this dynamic starting to compete. So without even discussing cheating or side pieces, women inherently see that. They see and they go, okay, obviously there's value there because I'm not the only one seeing value. That's why it's always like, hey, you have to self-love. You're the one who determines your self-esteem and your worth. You can say that all you want. It's not true.
Yeah.
It's seeing that other people value. So that's the only reason diamonds are worth anything is because someone else said that's worth something.
Yeah.
They're actually worthless.
Social proof is so important to women, which is why, because women respond the most favorably. If we're going to talk about traits that women look for, right? You know, being a leader, dominant, assertive, tall, whatever. I would say the biggest amplifier is social proof. That's why celebrity guys, like, you know, that might not necessarily be the most attractive, get the most girls. We were talking about this. Who do you think gets the most tail? I think reggaeton artists.
Reggaeton artists.
You got guys like Bad Bunny that literally have these disqualifying features. They look feminine. They say that they're bisexual, but they still get girls. Their social proof is so high that it amplifies everything else.
And with Instagram, you can create that for yourself online.
Right.
So
And it can be fake.
You have scale. For example, it's a numbers game, right? But with scale, what's better than internet? Nothing.
Right.
So I think it's the best dating app in the world.
Right, and they could take a look and see your life and
Yeah.
kind of have a good understanding, and you could see theirs, right?
Yeah.
See,
Yeah, but then you end up going on dates, and it always ends up being a problem, Gary.
yeah, but at least I have a good story to tell.
If this is where everybody's dating right now and the numbers suck, I'm just like, we're doing this wrong.
No, we are doing it wrong. But I
but
think
I
I
think
think
it's an
what
overcorrection.
I think what Walter just said was right. He was saying you can use it as a community
Yeah.
and look for, let's say, women
it
who
made a good
aren't
point.
broadcasting their breasts,
Yes.
who might have a private profile. In other words, that's likely where you're going to meet people.
So I have a friend, my old roommate. His name's Casey. Awesome guy. He's from California. He moved to Colombia last year. And
So he's a
would
drug
do is-
dealer.
He's a marketer. What he would do is he'd go on Instagram, right? Go to hashtag Colombia Medellin and look at girls constantly all day. He'd handpick the ones that were more modest, more chill. And when he went to Colombia, he'd DM them and they would meet up and talk. But during that whole, I want to say, period of time he was doing that, he found multiple girls that were actually good quality, and he actually wiped out one of them. So it's kind of like he found girls that were more modest, more like what his type on Instagram.
Yeah.
Hit them up.
Well,
and they
that's
went on
screening
dates.
for a value.
Yeah.
In another way, it's saying like, hey, I don't want a woman who's going to put her body on display for everyone to see.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. Men want to have a woman who's attractive, obviously.
Yeah.
You don't want a woman who shows every other man how attractive she is. That's just nature. Because men also understand how competitive other men are. But you know what I do think? The one thing that gets women really upset. You mentioned how women are competitive. Men live their whole lives, right, being competitive in almost all facets.
Yeah.
And it's generally more friendly competition. I think the big thing that really upsets a lot of modern feminists and women in general, is that men, out of all the things that women are better at some things and men are better at other, okay, it's that kind of in a surprising way, men are better at friending.
Yeah.
Most men you know have lifetime friends, like
Yes.
since high school, right? It's often very rare to find women these days who have the same best friend that they did when they were 12 or the same best friend that they did in high school. And I think that kind of irks them a little bit because women sometimes, and again, we're going to take your chats here, it's not friendly competition. Right? Men settle their scores through violence. How many stories do you have of two guys who got into a fight and then became good friends afterwards?
a
They
lot.
became best friends.
Many.
How many stories do you have of women who tore each other apart through gossip, which, by the way, is a sin that's mentioned most in the Bible? I think sexual impurity is like 70-something times. Gossip was 150 times. How many times have you seen a woman destroy some other woman's social life and then they become best friends? Never. Never. Men can compete and be done with it and be good friends. And I think that is something that's often overlooked. We think that men are brutes. We think that men are dumb. It's like, well, why do they have these very long-term, fulfilling male friendships?
That's true. And with women, it's like, and I've said this too, like they'll sit there and they'll be friends with each other to each other's face, and they really hate each other, or they'll give each other self-destructive advice. The worst thing, and I tell guys this all the time, if you got a girlfriend, don't let her hang out with her single friends.
Yep.
Because all they're going to do is they're going to see her happy with you, especially if you're a traditionally masculine guy. Hey, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. Hey, I don't like you doing this. You have boundaries. Her girlfriends are always going to say, he's controlling. He's a narcissist, blah, blah, blah. What are you doing? He doesn't let you go to the club? Wow. And they're going to go ahead and implant these little stupid things and tell her, yo, leave him, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of times they'll agree
Divorce
with them.
is there have been studies, it's a social contagion.
Yeah.
You see one divorce and then a group of friends within 2 years, all of them end up getting divorced. It happens a lot.
And women are self-destructive by nature, right? A girl, a chick without instructions headed for destruction. So their stupid-ass friends will say that dumb shit, and then they'll keep each other perpetually single. Because they'll say, why are you with that guy? He's controlling, blah, blah, blah. When in reality, that's what women want.
And
Yeah,
that's
also-
the danger of girl trips.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also with shame.
Also,
as
that
well.
movie sucked. Yeah.
It wasn't good.
And then there's a factor of shame. So what happens is, let's say a girl really wants to like put another girl down. What does she say all the time? Oh, she's a whore. She's a slut.
Yeah.
Because she knows her value isn't her purity.
Yeah.
So
And the other thing too is that they don't tell each other the truth. Like so let's say they're gonna go to the club, right? And she puts on a dress and she looks fat. She's not gonna tell her you need to lose weight. She's gonna be like, oh, do you want to like change that dress or something? Or they'll say, oh no, girl, eat, continue to be fat, whatever. They give each other terrible advice.
Yes. Whereas name me one male fat model who's a sex icon. Women will often say it's okay for a man to be fat. I go, really? Name me one. They go, Chris Farley. I go, comedian, immensely talented. John Belushi, comedian, immensely talented.
Yep.
Right? They go, I don't know, Pavarotti. Okay, you're talking about these best. They have to be very, very talented, and so but they're not praised because of their obesity. That's the big difference. Men who are fat, if they have ever been seen as attractive, it's because they're really, really, really good at something.
Yep.
Not praised for being fat.
The dad bod is one of the biggest lies ever. And it's funny because they said, oh, look, Leo has a dad bod. That's so attractive. Yeah, it's Leonardo DiCaprio.
yeah, that's why.
Just throw on a few Oscars and a few $100 million. He's cute.
Yeah.